The internet offers us amazing ways to research information, shop in the comfort of our own homes, and stay connected with family and friends anywhere in the world. While using computers and going online was initially intimidating to many seniors, it is becoming second nature to older Americans today. Let's see how the Silver Surfers generation is using the net to broaden its world.
I'd rather just use a horizontal separator if I'm going to repeat the message.
Teenage computer hackers and young web entrepreneurs get a lot of press today. But older computer users, often called Silver Surfers, are a growing presence on the internet. Richard Bender teaches computer classes at the Rockville Senior Center in Rockville, Maryland.
People are becoming more enthusiastic about learning about computers. It wasn't so, not even a year ago. But today, the classes roll very quickly here, and people go from one class to the next.
I was convinced that the world was going to be a computer world, that everybody had computers and knew how to use them, etc. So I thought, well, I'll learn how. I'll learn what it's about. Then once you start into it, the more you learn, the more you want to learn.
Henry first encountered computers on the job.
I was scared to death of the computer. I just knew if I touched it, I was going to break it.
After he retired, Henry began to take courses in computers. They have gradually become part of his daily routine.
If I get up in the morning, get on there, I check email right off the bat. I'll go on and look up different things.
I'm 80 years old, I'm retired. I'd been using a typewriter. One of my son-in-laws gave me a computer. So I decided I better take some lessons. It's time to get with it.
Surfing the World Wide Web presents challenges to people with vision problems, such as myopia, or physical difficulties, such as arthritis. But there are already many solutions. Ways to enlarge on-screen text to make it easier to read, extra-large keyboards to make typing more comfortable. For many people, the real barriers are psychological.
Because you don't know, you're afraid of it. It's change. The nature of people is to resist change.
There's a lot of trepidation at the beginning because people come in and they think that this is a mysterious kind of a methodology, which it isn't. But after an hour or two, everybody seems to be okay.
Once they get the hang of it, many older Americans are finding that the internet is an easy way to stay connected with far-flung family members and friends.
I can email my daughter in California and be able to receive it back. All of my family are computer savvy, and this will include me in the circle more easily.
Which folder does it go to? Well, if it's a family member that I put in here, I would click on Family here, and then click on OK.
I have a good friend who's a retired judge who sends me jokes, and I get 8 or 10 jokes a day sometimes from him. So it's just a constant way of keeping in touch with old friends that you haven't seen for years.
For Ted Chamberlain, it's also a way of meeting new people.
There are bridge games on the internet. I have one software program like that. But now I'll be able to go on the internet and play with world-class players. 4 points for master points, conceivably even with Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, if they're online at the time.
For the intellectually curious, the internet offers boundless information on almost every subject imaginable.
To me, it's mind-boggling to get on the computer and get an answer as quick as it'll give it to you.
One area of special interest to many seniors is medicine. In fact, interest in health issues may be what gets a lot of seniors to visit the web in the first place.
People attending classes here are interested in various medical problems, or they're interested in knowing more about arthritis or medications. They can find this information on the internet very simply if they know where to look and how to look.
A senior can go on there and find out what he needs health-wise. He can find out any information about investments, banking. My wife is all excited because she gets to pay her bills online.
If you have a hobby, the internet can connect you with the resources you need to pursue it.
I hope to use the internet to look up woodworking projects, because that's a goal of mine, is to go into woodworking, because I am fascinated by it, and I have already some things picked out that I want to build.
There may be mental health benefits to internet use as well. Surfing the web keeps your brain active and engaged.
I think the more your mind is active, the less chance there is of getting Alzheimer's, the less chance there is of getting depression.
Anything that will stir my brain into action, I try to do.
If you've never used the internet, or if you've tried it but have computer jitters, Henry Burke has a recommendation. Unleash your curiosity.
Surfing the internet is probably the best experience that I've run into, and the easiest thing I've done. There's just so much there, and it's all available. You put in a word, and you're going to come up with every possibility about that word, so you can find just about anything you're looking for on the internet.
It enlarges my life, brightens the world. My mind's still active. I'm a little slow physically, and I don't want to get left too far behind of what's going on.
Now if I go to an email, if I want to send an email and attach the photograph, I can do it.
Joining us today to discuss the growing wave of seniors who regularly use the internet for many of its valuable tools and conveniences is Ronnie Bennett, an acclaimed producer of radio and television programs, including the Barbara Walters specials and 2020 at ABC Television. In 1996, Ms. Bennett became the first managing editor at CBSNews.com and later became vice president for editorial and interactive. She started the website Time Goes By, what it's really like to get older. In 2003, as she puts it, to counter the complete absence in popular writing about aging of anything that is not focused on disease, decline, and debility. Of course, this is exactly why we are here and why we are so glad Ronnie Bennett has joined us today. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Nice to be here.
In broad terms, why is the internet useful for mature adults?
Oh, for 100 reasons. You can keep in touch with your kids that are often far away. Tons and tons of information is available, games to play, for the same reasons anybody else uses it. It's no different.
I know that the numbers of mature adults that are using the internet is really increasing. Why do you think that is?
Oh, well, I don't know.
Well, do you think it's the demographics that's changing, or they're more comfortable?
That will happen as the boomers, you know, they're just turning 60 this year. As they start to get older, they already use computers at work, so they'll continue to do it. Elders now are having to learn on their own, which amazing. I've met so many that they hadn't a clue about computers and they taught themselves. That's hard to do.
You know, Ronnie, you say something very interesting in some of the writings that you have. You talk about the fact that society, even though you've been in the media for years and years and years, that society does not depict mature adults the way you would like to see them being depicted, that it's either that they're in decline or we sort of glossy it up and talk down. Yeah. How do you think mature adults should be looked at?
Like everybody else. I mean, there's this attitude that when we hit 60 or 65, or that awful word retired, is that you've lost every brain you ever had and everything you ever knew.
Rewind for a minute. You think the word retired is awful, or do you think society perceives it as awful?
I just had a personal problem with it, and when people say, what do you do now? I go, choke when I have to, I'm retired. I don't really want to say that. And then a week or so ago, Robert Butler, who you probably know who he is at the International Longevity Center, and he invented the term ageism. He found that he couldn't use the word retired when he left, I think it was Mount Sinai, to get federal grants, because when he put retired on the form, that was a problem for them, that he was retired from Mount Sinai.
Right.
And so that's become a pejorative word too, as though we lose every marble we ever had if we're retired.
But I think one of the things that we at the Daily Apple and within Retirement Living want to do is reposition the word retirement. Do you think that the internet and the information that it's giving on the luxuries of retirement and the things that are out there to offer, even education, even travel, is helping us perceive that word better?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I'd have to think about it more. I only recently, in the last 6 months, started choking on the word retired. Because what I found is you're at a party, you're a group of people, someone says, what do you do? And say, I'm retired. Well, they're just ready to look for somebody else to talk to right away. So yeah, younger people are not interested in retired people, so it's not such a wonderful word to use about yourself.
It's fantastic information. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
We need to take another break. We'll continue our discussion with Ronnie Bennett about the Silver Surfers generation in a moment, so stay tuned.
Do you know? English is the most prevalent language used on the internet. What is the second most popular language? A. Chinese, B. French, or C. Spanish? Do you know the answer? It's A. Chinese.
We're back with Ronnie Bennett discussing the popularity of surfing the net among the senior set. When you think about the internet, it seems to me that one of the barriers is that it's not so senior friendly. Would you agree?
Yes, because younger kids, of course, they're born with little mice in their hands now, but lots of elders never worked with them, so they have to learn from scratch. But it can be made easier. Nick,
let me ask you this first. Let's talk about why it might be hard. So from a mobility standpoint, what are some of the difficulties there?
Arthritic hands have difficulty with the keys. There are large key keyboards now. There are even ABC keyboards. Have you seen those that for people who never learned QWERTY, you know,
Right.
to touch type?
And gripping and dexterity of the mouse is...
And the mouse is difficult. I've had problems teaching a friend who, it's been 5 years now, and he still attacks the mouse, you know, rather than just tap it, you know.
that does that.
And it just,
Yeah.
just tap it. That's all you need
How
to do.
about vision?
There are magnifiers if you have vision problems. Even blind people use the web. That they're translators, you know, text to voice and voice to text. They can use it. There are even people who can't use their hands at all or can't use a mouse at all. There are even head mice you can use and foot mice.
Right, with voice recognition and with your head. What about the slang or the internet terminologies that are used? Do you think mature adults have trouble understanding some of that?
I think you learn it as you start to learn the web, you know, as you gradually... I can't think even, I'm so used to it now, I can't even think of any of those words. I get asked what is blog a lot. It means weblog. But you use them over time. I mean, I email with lots and lots of older people, and they're using BTW for by the way, you know. And some, I don't know. Someone sent me one, the beginning of it, ROTL, rolling on the floor laughing. But then there was an extension with 4 more letters. I had to email back and ask what those mean, because I had no idea.
You talked about blogging, and I understand you're a big blogger. Give us a clearer definition of blogging.
Well, it's an online journal, can be, and most are. It's mostly seen as a young people's medium, that they keep daily journals about what they did today and what happened in school or whatever is going on. I have a topic on my blog. Mine is aging. Other people... There are lots of political blogs that are actually being influential in elections now. Technology blogs is where it started, mostly with the techie guys doing this when it first started in 1999. One of the bloggers, regulars around my site, Cowtown Patty of Texas Trifles, she writes about all kinds of things, but she specializes in Texas history.
Oh, wow.
And so they can be about anything. They're usually daily, and you usually allow comments, so people who read it will leave a comment, and conversations get going. It's really a load of fun once you start.
I know that one of the challenges you see in our society is ageism or ageist attitudes. Do you think the internet allows us to break down some of those barriers?
Well, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. You know, the famous New Yorker cartoon. Yes. I insist on saying how old I am. I'm doing a blog on aging and arguing against ageism, so you have to stand up there and say, hi, I'm 65 years old, you know. But if you want to hide it, you can. I mean, there's always questions in the blogging world about are people who they say they are, and you never know. Over time, you do. I mean, it's the same. You read somebody day in and day out, you really can't hide yourself too much.
Now, if I understand correctly, you actually sort of got passionate about this because did you have a workforce issue that you were dealing with at some point?
Well, when I went to work at the first CBS News site, I looked around the room one day and I realized I was the oldest kid in the crowd. I was used to all my life being the youngest kid in the crowd. And I was in my 50s, and I thought, what is it like to get old? Because nobody talks about it. They talk about decline, they talk about debility, they talk about disease and eventually death, and that's all you read in the popular press. Well, you might as well shoot yourself, you know, if that's all getting old is about. So in my free time, I started doing research and did that over a long period of years, and I started the blog to have a place to put it. I didn't expect it to be popular. I didn't expect too many people to care because aging isn't sexy, you know? Yeah. But I want to change that. So, and it got popular, and more people were reading it, and more older people were starting blogs. I started out 3 years ago with, on my sidebar part of blogs, or a blog roll, where it links to other blogs you like. Mine, you have to be 50 years or older to be on my blog roll. And in the beginning, I had 10 or 12 were all I could find. Believe me, I spent hours looking for older people blogging. I've got 150 on my blog now, and probably that many. And these are only good ones. I'm very fussy about who
And they
I put
call
on
it
the
elder
blog.
blogging, right?
Well, I do.
Oh, you termed that coin.
Yes.
You coined that term.
Well, actually, a woman at another organization did, referring to me as an elder blogger, and I grabbed it the minute I heard it.
So, how does it work? Like, if you have a topic on there about ageism and it runs its course, do you just start a new topic that you want to talk about, and then people respond to you?
I write something different every day, and I try to make it, I try to do something light every week. I do something serious every week. I sometimes do politics. Last year, when President Bush was trying to privatize Social Security, I did a long 21, 22-piece series on that over that many weeks. Anything that relates to aging. You know, sometimes what it feels like. I mean, for me, different things I've run into as I get older.
And I'm sure other people can appreciate reading that kind of thing. Ronnie, before we go, what do you think the key reason is for mature adults to start using the internet?
Oh, the most important thing is the social aspect. You make real friends in the blogosphere anyway. I'm not sure of the internet in general. Real friends that mean as much to you, come to me and love as much as your real friends in real life. It's a godsend for elders.
Very nice. Thank you for coming today and sharing all this information with us.